Hey everyone, it's Anna. Thanks for visiting my channel. So I did something last night and I thought maybe you guys would be interested in this kind of an idea. So I thought I'd put together a video for you. So yesterday I actually purchased a cerulean blue tube of watercolor paint from Daniel Smith and wanted to kind of compare it in mixing a couple of colors to some of the other cerulean blues that I have in my watercolor palettes. I have the Old Holland Cerulean Blue Light. It's a really old tube. And it's almost gone, and I really love the color and the smoothness of the pigment, and I wanted to see if maybe the Daniel Smith could be a good replacement for that old color that I have. And then I also have the Da Vinci Cerulean Blue, and it's also a really beautiful color, and so I thought I would do a comparison of the three and see if I found the one that I liked. So what I did is I did what's considered a color blend, where you take a pure pigment of one color and you mix it through to a pure pigment of one other color. So I chose the Winsor Newton Opera Rose just because I had a little half pan of it here on my desk. So this is the Opera Rose. It's just a really hot pink. And so what I did is I started with the pure pigment of the Daniel Smith of the Cerulean Blue, and then gradually I added pink to it, more and more pink, until finally I had just the pure pink pigment, or as close to the pure pink pigment as I needed to get necessarily in my swatch here. And then I did the same thing with my Da Vinci Cerulean Blue. I mixed it with the same Winsor Newton Opera Rose. So mixed more and more pink until I had something as close to the original pigment as I felt necessary in my swatching. And then I did the same thing again with my Old Holland, the color that I love so much, the Old Holland Cerulean Blue Light, and I mixed it down to the Winsor Newton Opera Rose as well. And I thought this was kind of an interesting little experiment, so I thought I'd share it with you. Oh, let me here, pops another couple lights on so you can see better. One thing I noticed is that the Daniel Smith Cerulean Blue granulated a lot more than the other two, and it left really beautiful variation in color there in that mixing. So I thought that was fun. And then the Old Holland, it granulates as well, but not nearly as much. So you can kind of see some textures that it leaves behind in the watercolor paper as well. But the Da Vinci Cerulean Blue didn't seem to granulate as much as the Old Holland even. So I think there actually is a reason to keep a non-granulating color in your palette as well as a granulating color in your palette. So I'm actually really glad that I picked up this Daniel Smith one, because it is quite different from the ones that I have currently. A lot of watercolor artists who paint flowers will typically lean towards pigments that don't granulate as much because they like their smooth finish. I kind of like the granulations, so. But I thought I would share this idea with you because it's a really great way for you to not only learn your colors and learn what colors you can mix to get different variations of color, but it's just also a really good way for you to start learning your paints and what they can create. So I thought I would go ahead and show you some more examples and then show you how to do it. So here is, I have a whole stack of them here. So here's one where I used that really inexpensive $8 Doodle Hog 24 half pan set that I purchased a few weeks ago. The box looks like this. And so here I started with the really bright blue. This is not a cerulean blue, but it's a bright blue in the palette. And I mix it all the way to what they are considering the orange in the palette. And you can see all the really beautiful shades that I get in between, right? From a blue to an orange. And then I did the same thing with what looks like maybe their yellow ochre. Ochre? I don't know why I can't say that word. I mixed it all the way to like their phthalo green shade. And you can see all the beautiful greens that you get, really vibrant greens, when you mix those two colors together. Then I did the same thing with the Art Whale set, and I don't have the box handy, but it's the tube set from Art Whale that I poured and dried into these little half pan tubes. And again, this was a really inexpensive tube set that you can dry down into half pans like this. And so I did the same thing with this set, where I started with this sap green color in the set, and I blended it all the way down to the red violet. So look at those beautiful fall colors. I especially like these here. And then I also used the ultramarine deep and blended it all the way to a burnt sienna. And again, really beautiful blue grays in here. So that set, those 4 colors blended really well. So I continued with the Art Whale set. I blended the phthalo green all the way down to a vermilion. And isn't that interesting, the olivey colors that you get in there? And then I also stuck with the phthalo green here, and I blended it down to a yellow ochre. I think I said it right. Yay! So look at those beautiful colors. So that was a good one as well. And then I also started with their cerulean blue, and which is a really beautiful color that doesn't granulate much at all. And then I blended it all the way down to the red violet. So look at those beautiful purples. And I think I did, no, I started with the green. And then I started with the phthalo blue in that set and blended it down to yellow ochre. Let's see. There's the difference between a phthalo green and a phthalo blue and yellow ochre. The bottom two there. So fun, fun, fun. And then I also did it with a Daniel Smith phthalo green blue shade to the Winsor Newton Opera Pink or Opera Rose. And so there's the green. And then look at the beautiful granulation in those two there. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's really beautiful there. And then blended it all the way down to the pink and got some really, really beautiful colors here. And then I reversed it. So I started with the pink and went backwards. And you can see that when you go backwards, you can tend to get a little bit more green shades, where here I start getting purples right away. So that's kind of fun to do. And then one last sample that I have to share with you is this one here. And this one I chose to use my Da Vinci palette. This one I did a long time ago. My Da Vinci colors, this is the one I just added a red to last night, an alizarin crimson. But these are the colors in this palette here. And really beautiful colors. They're made with honey, so they stay nice and moist and they re-wet really nicely. So I did play with this long time ago. This is probably one of the first times I ever did this type of a color blend. And I actually learned about this technique, I think it was on the In Liquid Color channel here on YouTube. The watercolor artist on that channel is Denise Sodin, I think. Anyway, I think that's where I first saw this type of a technique. So here with the Da Vinci blends, again, I started with the quinacridone gold, and I blended all the way to what I probably think was like the ultramarine in the set, but I'm not quite sure. It could have been one of the other colors. Then I also, or it could have been cobalt. I'm just not sure. Or it could have been a slight mix of the two on my palette. And then here I started with yellow ochre and blended all the way to the cobalt turquoise in the palette. So you can see all those beautiful greens. And look at all those really smoky blues there. That's so pretty. And then here I started with alizarin crimson here in the middle. And it was different alizarin crimson than I have in the palette now. But I blended that color all the way over to a yellow that's in the bright yellow that's in the palette, and started with probably the yellow ochre or maybe the quin gold. And then this line here is alizarin crimson blended all the way to an ultramarine, and then here is a cadmium red light blended all the way to ultramarine, and you get some really smoky purples. Those are beautiful. Here's a cad red light again blended all the way to that cobalt turquoise. And then alizarin crimson blended all the way to cobalt. I love all these smoky, look at those beautiful colors in there. Yay. And then this line here, I actually created a green by blending the two, the yellow and the blue together from the set. And then I started with alizarin crimson and blended it all the way to that green that I created. So you get some really interesting earthy shades there. And then I blended from cadmium yellow to the cobalt turquoise and got these really vibrant, beautiful greens. So it's a really fun way to kind of learn what your colors can do and what you can mix together to expand your palette. It's also really relaxing. So sometimes I like to do this when I'm just really stressed out. I'll just grab a little swatch card and start painting some samples. So I thought I would show you how to do this. So I'm going to set these aside here. So what I do is I start with whatever scrap of watercolor paper I have laying around. This is just an extra one I had cut here. So what I've done is I've just created a real light line here. This just tells me where to stop my swatch because I like them to kind of be a little tidy. And then I start with one color here. So I've just decided I'm going to start with olive, and I'm going to blend it all the way to vermilion. And then down here, I could start with another color and then blend it all the way to another color. So this swatch card gives me room for 2 complete rows. So let me go ahead and show you how to do this. So I'm going to use, again, this Art Whale tube set that I squeezed into the half pans and let dry down. And then I'm just going to use this little inexpensive Royal Langnickel, I think is how it says, 1/4 inch flat brush. And I just like this because of its size. I just like to keep my lines kind of, I don't know, tidy, precise. And this brush tends to work well for that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my olive color. I'm just going to pull some of that pigment down here into my palette. And then while I have that pure pigment here on my brush, I might as well just make my first line. And then I can rinse my brush. Get it nice and clean. And then I'm going to blend this, this sample down to vermilion, which is this really bright orange color here. So I'm going to add some of that color here to my palette as well. And then while I have that pure pigment on my brush, I'm going to add my end line, basically. So there we go. We're going to move from olive all the way to vermilion. So let me wash my brush so it's not quite so loaded again. And, all right. So here's what you do. Because we're starting with olive, I'm going to very slowly start adding just a little bit of the vermilion into my olive color. And then make a swatch. And then the next line, I'll add a little bit more orange or vermilion to my color and make a swatch. And then I'll add a little bit more. And you just continue doing this until you get all the way to the other side. And you may need to make more lines if you're not adding as much pigment at a time to transition from one color to the other. You may need to make more swatches, but just keep on working those pigments together. And then these are not changing very drastically. All of her hair. And I'm almost to my original orange color here. Pull up a little more in there. I just think this is a really fun way to see what kind of color combinations you can create by using the colors you have in your palette. And it's just a really good way to learn your palette as well. And so I think we're pretty much close enough there. I'll do one last swatch here. All right. So that's a beautiful blend from olive to vermilion. not as dramatic of a change as some of the other combinations that you could do, but still really beautiful and a really nice sample to understand the colors. And I'll do one more combination here. I think I'll do the blue violet. I have not done that in any of my samples yet. I'll do the blue violet, which is a really beautiful purple. Oops. And let's see. I'll start with the blue violet. And let's see, what other color should I mix it to? I think I'll mix it to the phthalo green. That will be a really interesting combination, I think. So I'll grab some of that pigment and place it down here. All over here. It's not even shedding season yet. All right, so there I've got some phthalo green. So I'm going to put my end swatch down here with this color here. So let's see what we get by combining those two. All right, so I'm going to wash my brush off real good here. Okay. So starting with the purple, I'm going to start adding just a little bit of purple. Or starting with the purple, I'm going to add just a little bit of green to it each time. So here we go, starting with the purple. And grabbing just a little bit of the green. Oops, that was a little more than I had anticipated grabbing. Look at that, gorgeous. I'll add a little bit more green. And you just keep working it back and forth. And I'm almost to just having phthalo green here in my little swatch. I'll do another swatch here. I think we'll probably be done. There we go. So isn't that fun? You can see all those beautiful blues that you can create. So I thought this might be a little interesting thing for you to do. You don't have to do it with expensive watercolors. Like I said, these here were done with the $8, or this was the Artwell. This one was done with the $8 set. All of these have been done with the Artwell tube sets, which were not expensive at all. So you can do it with any colors that you have, just trying to mix your pigments and see what kind of interesting color effects that you can get just by mixing two different colors. And try colors that you're unsure of, see what you get. So be a little creative. So anyways, hope you enjoy this idea. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.